Welcome to Atlas Leadership Academy, where our goal is to offer world-class leadership to influence worldwide change. My name is Marianne Owen. I'm the Executive Vice President for Atlas Leadership Academy and the Director of Marketing and Branding at Atlas Realty Group. Joining me is William King, who is a PhD candidate in business leadership and the CEO of Atlas Realty Group. Additionally, he is a Maxwell Leadership Facilitator, coach, and speaker. And today we will be discussing leadership versus management. What do you think about that topic, William?
Well, Marianne, thank you for that wonderful introduction.
Oh, yeah.
Now, leadership versus management has been an ongoing topic that's been going back and forth for decades.
I agree.
And oftentimes people get them confused.
They do.
But to me, I know per definition, there is a clear distinction between a leader and a manager.
I agree. There definitely is a clear distinction between a leader and a manager. So what is that distinction?
Well, when I think of leadership, the first thing I think about is first. Be the first one, no matter what. Always be first, right? Whenever we think about an example, we think about the first person who did it.
Right.
So typically and oftentimes, a leader is that person that's going to set the tone, the pace, and the example of the actual organization.
Okay.
The leader is going to cast the actual vision, set the goals, okay, and also show where the actual organization is going to go.
Absolutely.
Right. So pretty much it is the big picture of things.
Right.
Right. Now, in business, I think it's important to have leaders and managers, and the organization cannot operate with just one.
Well, it absolutely cannot operate with just one. Everybody can't cast vision. And then managers, we can say the management role is to drive the vision, right? They are the ones that make the goals and then help, achieve the goals and things like that. So you're right. It absolutely cannot work. One cannot work without the other.
Right. Understood. So in essence, if we want to just sum this up and make this very, very small, a leader will pretty much lay out the road. I'm telling you, Marianne, I would like to go to Nevada by foot.
Okay.
And bring the entire company with us. We're moving.
Right.
Right. That's the leader. That's what a leader would do. Right.
Casting the vision.
Casting the vision. This is what
we're
needs
going
to
to
happen.
do.
Right. And the manager is going to say, all right, troops, this is what needs to happen. We need to do A, B, C, or D in order to accomplish the goal.
Yes.
Now, I think it's important to note that leadership, when it comes to a following, it has to be at will. If you're forcing someone to follow you, that's not leadership.
If you're forcing someone to follow you, no. As a leader, you should always be able to influence, right? And use that positive influence to rally the people and then help them see your vision so they can, like you said, follow.
Correct. Now, I don't want anyone to mistake leadership for motivation.
No.
Because that's two separate things. Or influence for motivation.
Well, influence is motivational.
Well, motivation is only temporary.
True.
Influence is long-term.
Influence is long-term, yes, but motivation is definitely wrapped up into the influence, right? As an influencer, you should be able to motivate.
Correct.
So motivation is the action behind influence, I suppose.
It is. I agree. But whenever someone is completely influenced, they're now taking their own free will and something within inside of them has changed and they now want to go a certain direction because of their own viewpoint on the matter.
Or maybe not change, but it's something that they resonate with.
Right.
So it's like, that vision is speaking to or aligning with my vision and what I want to align with.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Now, what about those employees who have a manager that's in charge of them? Do they require motivation, or do they require to be influenced, or how does that work, the manager-employee relationship?
Oh, the manager-employee relationship. So, I do feel like it depends on the employee, right? Because some employees are self-starters. They are self-motivated. You give them a task and they're like, I got it. They need very little direction. They need very little input or insight. They got it. And they can run with it, right? So I like to call those the runners. You always want to have a runner. And then you got the ones that are a little bit slower to start, that need a little bit more coaching, need a little bit more, details and things like that. They're a little bit more tactical, as you can say. And so they would need a little bit something else, clear direction, shorter goals. Like, okay, I need you to do this. Let me know when you're done with that. Okay, now that you're done with that, I need you to do this. But it takes a good manager who also has to have good leadership skills, right, to be able to understand the different people working for
Yeah.
them so they can best utilize their strengths in order to reach goals.
You just hit the nail on the head
I know.
with the hammer.
Totally did.
Solid strike.
Bam.
A manager must have solid leadership skills.
Yes,
They must. Otherwise, they would not be an effective manager,
that's right.
right? Because no one, well, everyone or most people will completely resent them or not want to complete the task,
Correct.
right? So while every single manager must have leadership skills, every single manager is not necessarily a leader.
Correct, because everybody does not have the capacity to have big vision, big goals, see long term, see way, way down the road. You know what I mean? Sometimes people can only see what's in front of them,
Right.
and that's okay. That's a strength too, because sometimes people who are visionaries and they see way, way ahead.
Right.
And they don't see exactly the path to get there. They don't see what's in front of them right now.
Just got this big idea like, oh my
Exactly.
God, this is massive. Marianne, look, check this out. We're going to Nevada because ABCD is going to happen. So we're moving a company,
Right.
And while yourself, if you're in a management position, you may not see that big picture, but you trust me and believe me at will. So you're like, okay,
Let's figure out
let's
how to
figure
get
out how to
here.
do it.
So, in order to get to Nevada on
Yeah.
foot, we have to do this, we have to do that, we have to do that. So
Right.
that's that is kind of like wearing those two hats. But like like I was saying, as far as like every manager doesn't necessarily have long term or big vision,
Right.
but they can see paths, they can see systems, they can see what's in front of us now.
Ooh,
Who can we
processes.
utilize?
Yep.
Yeah, processes and procedures and things like that, which is kind of like everything right here in front of us. So again, each role is so important and really, really vital to success.
Right. Understood. So let's summarize this.
All
And
right.
then we're going to show you how to distinguish if you're a leader or if you're a manager. So in summary, real quick, management is small picture, leadership is big picture.
Big picture.
And that pretty much sums it up,
Yes.
So now how do you know if you're a leader or if you're a manager? I know a lot of viewers out there are probably thinking, well, am I really a leader or am I really a manager? Because if you're in the wrong role, it could be devastating towards your organization.
Devastating and frustrating for you because you
Correct.
would be in a seat to where it's just like, this doesn't exactly fit or align with me or what I can do in my skill set.
Right.
And so you're going to constantly be hit with different frustrations. You're going to be burnt out even because you're trying to do something that technically you probably shouldn't be doing. So
Right.
it's important to know and put yourself in the right seat so you can be effective.
Correct. Now, as we go through a few different bullet points for leaders and managers, I want you to really think and honestly look in the mirror and ask yourself so you can really identify, are you a leader or are you a manager? And once you identify where you're at within your own personal life, you can then go back to the workforce and be that much more effective towards the organization.
Yes.
Okay. So now let's start with the first one. The first thing you want to think about if you think you're a leader, think about this. Is there a mission I need to accomplish? If you can think just mission, don't worry about how to do it. Don't worry about the steps involved to get in there. Just think about the actual mission.
Right.
If you consider yourself just that, you may be on your path to being a leader.
Yes. Or you are already a leader.
Or
You
already
still
a
know.
leader. Now, for managers, if you're thinking of the mission, but you're also saying, but something else needs to happen first.
Mhm.
And then what about this person? If you think about the system or if you think about a process towards making a mission happen, you may be better suited as a manager.
Right. Goal oriented.
Yeah, goal oriented. I'm glad you simplified that, goal oriented.
Yes.
What about the next task, Marianne?
So-
The next bullet point.
Leaders, which is me, totally. This is me right here. Leaders challenge the status quo. Leaders aren't afraid to come in and shake the table. Leaders aren't afraid to come in and it's like, all right, this is what we've been doing. Now let's try something else.
Say it again for the people in the back.
This is what we've been doing. Now let's try something else.
Challenge the status quo. If you're afraid of change, you know,
Yes,
or if you don't want to shake up the table, shake up the room,
that's right.
you know, maybe go towards the manager position,
You're probably better suited as a
you
manager
know.
because, I mean, challenging the status quo, shaking the table, and things like that, it resides in, this is a dirty word, conflict.
Right.
Sometimes conflict is needed in order to elevate, right? And the conflict isn't a dirty word. I was just kidding. But people are afraid of it and you shouldn't be. And then we also spoke about conflicts, and make sure you go back and watch that. But you should not be afraid of conflict. You shouldn't be afraid of having an opposing position, not just for the sake of it, but for the sake of growth, for the sake of people.
Right.
Because sometimes people get into this lull and then get into this place of being stagnant. And then somebody has to be the one to recognize that and say, hey, wake
Right.
up. We still have work to do. We still have a mission
Yes.
to accomplish.
Yes.
And so a manager manages. A leader is always going to keep pushing to the next level.
You are preaching to the choir. And guys, if you're really enjoying what we're talking about and you want to be a part of this leadership junkie train, don't forget to hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe.
You totally should.
Now, one thing I would say about managers, as far as leaders challenging the status quo, managers try to maintain or achieve the status quo.
Yes.
Managers want things to be stable.
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yes.
so we can physically see the progress once things become stabilized.
Right.
And we know what's next.
That's correct.
Managers typically will want to mimic their competitors
Mm-hmm.
because if something else is working, why not just implement it?
Let's just do that.
I don't have to reinvent the wheel.
No.
The company down the street is already doing this. I know they're doing it. My homie works there.
Yes. And then there's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong
Nothing
with,
at all. I would say.
taking what someone else is doing and implementing it in your own business. Because with what
Correct.
works, it works,
It
right?
works.
Work with what works.
Correct.
But don't stay there.
Correct. I agree. Think about all the technology that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the technology we have pretty much all does the same thing. They
Right.
just have little slightly unique things about them.
It's so funny you say that.
Which
'cause
is where
can you
leaders come
imagine-
in. Leadership comes
Yes,
in.
And visionaries. Can you imagine if we were all still using like our Razor flip phones?
Wow. I
What
can
if
imagine.
nobody had a vision to continuously upgrade and make our
Right.
phones better,
Right. But think about iPhone, all the different Android, Samsung. They pretty much do all the same thing.
They do.
But they're very unique because of the leadership of the individual companies,
Mm-hmm.
right? So leaders are very unique
Yes.
in that sense. So if you are an out-of-the-box thinker, a visionary can cast vision on the actual norm that everyone else is doing that works,
Mm-hmm.
you may be more of a leader versus a manager,
Yes. Yes, because being unique, that is like your own stamp, your seal. That's
Right.
like who you are. It's like your calling card, so to speak.
Makes sense.
Everybody knows the difference between Batman and Iron Man, right?
Facts.
They have their own unique calling
But
card.
they kind of do the same thing. They fight
They're
crime.
both billionaire
Yeah,
bachelor.
billionaire, fighting crime.
Correct.
I don't think they got anything else to do with their time but fight crime.
Yes, and be
billionaires.
rich.
And they rich. But we want to fight crime when
But
they're rich.
they're both it's so funny. They do have similar origin stories, but they have their own unique things. So
Right.
one is Iron Man, one is Batman. Anywho, but managers, they mimic their competitors,
Mhm.
right? So they are essentially very, very similar. They don't have anything that makes them stand out, which again kind of goes back into with whatever works, it works. That's what a manager does. We're going to stick to what works. We're sticking to a particular system because that brings a particular success, right?
Right.
So another thing that leaders do is they take risk. That goes back to what we were saying as far as like shaking the table and challenging the status quo. That's a big risk, coming against things that we know works and then
Right.
trying to take it to another level. It's like we're going to do this, we're going up, and that's a risk because what is it, 50-50? It could work
Right.
or it cannot work.
One thing I will say, and trust me, guys, this is not me endorsing any product or service, and I have no affiliation with what I'm about to say. But I remember a few years ago when Microsoft tried to come to the market with a smartphone.
Mm,
Okay. The leadership
forgot
of
about
Microsoft was absolutely amazing. Microsoft is not a company that does cell phones. They're
Right.
not in the cell phone market. However, the leadership took the risk and wanted to do that and achieve that.
mhm.
And they made it to market. Unfortunately, that wasn't in market for a long time,
No.
but they was not afraid to take risk. They
Yes.
were not afraid to take risk.
So would you say that they mimic their competitor trying to do a smartphone when they're renowned for software?
They did. They did mimic their competitor when the smartphone was becoming real popular, but they made their phones very unique.
Yes.
So their leadership team knew that the vision of the company had to grow and had to expand and enter to different markets to maintain a certain point of profitability for their shareholders.
Yes.
So the leadership saw that. Managers probably thinking, I don't know how we're going to do this. We do not do cell phones. I have no idea what's going on. And then one manager said, well, the company down the street does cell phones.
Yes.
So we can make a cell phone. And the leader said, make it different. You know? And it worked.
And it
You know?
worked.
It worked.
Right. They had a product to market, unfortunately. You know.
The next point I want to make about leaders versus manager is leaders are willing to learn and grow personally. And it says managers perfect existing proven skills.
Yes.
That's not to say managers aren't willing to learn and grow personally. I'm not saying that.
Right.
But I'm saying leaders, the main thing they focus on is learning and growth.
It's
So that
growth.
when they cast vision, they can see beyond the actual normacy of the actual organization.
Absolutely.
So as long as they continue to learn and grow beyond their own personal means, that's why a lot of leaders and executives and CEOs, you see a lot of people say they read a lot of books, a lot of personal development books. A lot of leaders do that.
You have
know?
to really like stay abreast of what's going on in the
Right.
world, right? Technology, people, even because as a leader and you're building an organization, you are not going to have the same age group of people, you know, coming in. You're not going to be leading the same type of people. You're going to be leading all different kinds of people. And so it's important to develop yourself, you know, stay in the know, stay ahead
Right.
in order to be able to cast vision that would resonate with a myriad of people.
Absolutely.
So,
Understood. I love it. The next thing I want to let you know is that leaders build relationships. If you're not a people person and you can't work a crowd, you know, you're probably geared towards a manager role. A leader will get inside of a room, work a crowd, begin to get people's contact information, build relationships because they understand that it is people that makes the world go round.
absolutely.
You know, when a manager is going to focus on the actual goal and the objective.
Right. They're
You
going to
know?
focus on their team. They're going to focus on who they manage, you know, which would help them to achieve their goals and objectives. But you're absolutely right. Leaders build relationships, and it's, you know, and I think the relationship building should be far reaching, not just the people that's in your sphere or
Right.
people that's in your industry.
Correct.
Like you should get to know people outside of your industry because you don't know who they know. You know, or, you know, just, or even somebody that you might think is less than. Don't have that attitude, you know, treat everyone the same, treat everyone like they're important. That's important, you know,
Absolutely,
as
very
a
important.
leader, because people remember that. People never forget how you treated them. Never forget it. And a lot of times they never forget your face either. So always very important to make a great first impression, you know, have that connection with people and be kind to them.
Right.
Because again, people don't forget how you treat them. So it's really, really important to build relationships that are far-reaching outside of your industry, all, you know, levels of like income or whatever. Like just be about people,
Yeah.
you know, and that builds your influence.
I love it, and I love people. Now, as a leader myself, I coach people to become a better version of themselves. You know, I constantly want to see people improve in life. In fact, my personal mission statement is to help everyone achieve their maximum potential.
Yes.
That's my personal mission statement. Most leaders have a personal mission statement. Managers have the mission of the actual company, and they direct their attention towards helping achieve the company goal,
Correct.
right? So for myself personally as a leader, I want to see everybody win, you know? And I have managers to help me make everyone win
Yes.
or get to that point of winning as a
Yeah,
whole.
my mission statement is very similar. It's I will
Let's
help
hear
you. Yeah, well, I will help you get to wherever you want to go in life.
I love it.
So very similar. But yeah, to your point, it's like I want to see people win.
Yeah.
Everybody win. You
Everybody.
know, there's enough winning out here for all of us.
For everybody. There's enough win for
You know,
everybody.
we don't have to
be
be
selfish and take all the
and
winnings for
stingy.
ourselves.
Exactly.
You know?
And it's so much better. It's more, for me, it is so much better to see somebody else like really achieve their goals. And it's like, I help coach them.
Right. You
And
find
they're
joy in that.
flying
You know?
like, I'm looking like a proud mama bird. It's like, look at my babies flying, doing their
them go.
thing. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. You want them to make an impact in the world and, have that
Please,
lasting,
please.
and have that lasting legacy. Absolutely. So I love that. Um,
Here's my favorite one.
what's that?
Results to leadership are intangible.
Mm-hmm.
Results of management is measurable.
Right. Yeah. I thought about that too because I'm like, well, as a leader, if you're building other leaders, that's tangible.
Yeah.
That is somewhat tangible. I agree with it and I disagree because sometimes you can't measure personal growth. It's
Correct.
not really like, on the Richter scale or whatever. You can't really measure that. Whereas with results in management, because that's achieving goals and things like that. So it's numbers, it's results, it's feedback, measurable things. But with leadership, you can't really measure how much a person grows or whether that growth will take place immediately or later on in their life to where they just like, I got it and have this exponential growth. Even if they're not under your direct leadership anymore,
Right.
you still contributed to that.
Right.
So I
And-
can see how that can,
in
that is
sense,
true and not true.
I agree with the true and not true. Now, we're talking strictly about the actual organization,
Mm-hmm.
the leadership of an organization as intangible. Because the mission that the leader set out,
Mm-hmm.
okay, if I say that the company needs to go to a certain place or do a certain thing, I don't think that result can be tangible because the mission of an organization is always ongoing.
Okay, I got you. Because
You're
I was
never
like,
going
wait
to
a
accomplish
minute.
the mission. You're going to get closer and closer and closer,
Mm-hmm.
and that leader is going to continuously cast vision
Yes,
to
got
keep
it.
going and pushing the mark.
That makes sense.
So you can't touch that, But
That makes sense.
the result of the vision,
The overall vision.
the overall vision, the result of the overall mission, it is very measurable, but it takes a manager to make that happen,
Yes.
to gather those analytics to see how far we've come versus where we were
Right.
from the last vision.
Mhm.
I agree with you in what you said that leadership can be tangible, but you can't really measure, personal growth. But that's in the sense of I have X amount of people under my guidance as a leader,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now we're just talking about overall big picture leadership. I like to think that it's intangible.
Yeah. Yeah, what you said, that makes sense. I get that now.
Okay.
Perfect.
So why don't you explain leadership is qualitative and management is quantitative?
Okay.
You wrote that too. I like that. You wrote it. I asked some questions about it, but you wrote it. So I'm going to let you speak on that one.
Okay, so qualitative, we're talking about the quantity or, the quality,
Right.
of what it means, like you were just speaking about as far as like the mission, the vision, the quality of how people are, I think, treated and how they are grown within your organization, right? Management is
I love it.
quantitative to where it's like we're focused more on numbers, we're focused on results,
Right.
So quality, leadership being qualitative is focusing more on the quality of what the people in your organization are receiving. Are we
Agreed.
receiving, excellent communication? Is everybody made to feel like they are part of the vision? Are we all one band, one sound? Are
Oh,
we?
yes.
And then the management goes in and it's like, okay, because we are all receiving this great quality leadership, now we can drive the business forward and then
Right.
get the results, get the numbers, get the quantities and things like that. So that's my thought with
I
that.
love it. Oftentimes people don't talk about the quality of an organization. We always are geared to talk about the profitability. And we
Yes,
always
the
geared to
numbers,
talk
because
about numbers, the
they
margins.
get that confused,
To
I think.
determine the success or failure of a business, we focus on numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Why? I have no idea. But I think it's as equally as important to determine the quality of that organization. Are people happy there?
Right.
Is it like one of the best places to work at?
Yes.
Like you said, is the communication from top down flowing and from bottom up? Is it flowing? Because communication goes two ways.
Yes.
If you just got communication going from top down, you're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Communication also need to be encouraged from bottom up, so you can understand what has happened on the ground floor,
Right.
on the employee level.
That's right.
So leaders need to be aware of what's going on in the bottom. that makes an organization of great quality.
Hmm.
You know, are people's lives constantly being enriched? Do you have different
Yes.
seminars that your employees can attend to ensure that they are increasing their own personal life,
Yes.
not only driving a business forward, but how are you helping people become better
Yes.
within their own proven role? All of that is going to determine the quality of an organization. Now, at our organization, we strive to meet people where they're at,
Yes.
and that's okay wherever you're at. But we want to ensure when we depart ways that you have become better.
Yes.
You know,
That is our goal.
that is always our goal. World-class leadership to influence worldwide change.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, here's the last one.
This one cracked me up.
This one made me laugh. Leaders have fans, managers have employees.
Yes. So I know I'm a leader because I have plenty of fans.
Hey, look at you.
Hey.
How many fans you got? What's your following on Instagram?
Oh my gosh. We're about almost at 1,000.
Hey, there you go.
I don't know these people.
You don't got the little blue star yet, but
Not yet.
you're
No, I'm not
close.
verified. No. If I worked at it a little bit more, I'm pretty sure I can get there.
Yeah, I think I'm at like 2,600. Honey,
How many of them interact? Well, you get a lot of
I
interaction.
get a lot of
though.
interactions
You
when I do
do.
post something.
Yeah, whenever that happens. But managers have employees.
Managers have employees, and managers have employees because it's their job to actually meet the mission, and they need people to make that happen,
Mhm.
right? Leaders have a fan, and once again, as I stated earlier, that are people that's following you at will. That's the most important part,
Yeah,
at will,
because they want to.
because they want to,
Mhm.
because they like what you're cooking.
Right.
You know, what did Rock say back in the day? Do
You smell what the rock is
Rock
cooking. He was on last week.
Oh, hey.
I know.
And
Anyway.
that dude has a lot of fans.
He has tons of fans,
Right.
right? But he is always saying something that is very meaningful. He's
Very.
always trying to help the world and all of that. So,
Right.
you know, he does possess great leadership skills.
Right. Now, we constantly discover the difference between a leader and a manager. Now, the real question is, what is this all about?
What does this actually mean? Like,
Right.
what does this contribute?
What's the point of it all?
What is the point?
The point of it all is it's important to want to build a legacy.
Absolutely, it is.
You know, think about different people in this world who have built legacy that's going to go on for years and years and years to come. For example, Steve Jobs, God rest his soul. The man built a legacy.
Absolutely.
He was a visionary. He was a leader of all leaders.
One of my favorites.
One of my favorites. And if you can get the opportunity to read his biography, please do so. It's
Do
an
it.
amazing story. Okay. Walt Disney.
Yes. He built the most magical place on earth.
And Disney World is not going anywhere no time soon.
It's not.
Yeah.
And it really will have a lasting legacy because, I mean, I don't know if anybody's ever stayed at Disney. Like, if you have not, you need to go and stay at Disney because, like, it is literally magical. Like, it's an experience you'll never forget.
Awesome.
So, but I mean, that carries on the vision of, you know, the builder, Walt Disney, right?
Correct.
Another one, J.P. Morgan.
JP Morgan,
Huge.
one of the biggest banks worldwide.
Huge.
Huge. You know, Sam Walton.
Yes.
Everybody loves Walmart.
Everybody
There's
goes.
not one person that says, I hate Walmart.
Everybody goes to Walmart.
You know, there's some disputes between Walmart and Target, but for the most part, we all love Walmart.
Yes,
You know what I mean? But it's a legacy for sure.
absolutely.
You know, what about JCPenney?
Yes. Now I know that some of their stores are closing and they're going to a different model now, but still to have been in the business, I think over 100 years.
Wow.
It's a long
I didn't know
time.
that.
I believe it's been well over 100 years at this point.
Mhm.
So yeah, another lasting legacy. And yes, JCPenney was a real person.
Right.
So a huge legacy to where they had all of these leaders had something in mind, and that was embracing the ultimate big picture.
Right.
And I feel like it probably forced them to acknowledge their own mortality. It's like, I'm not going to be on earth forever, but I want to leave my imprint. And so, you know, you need to ask the question for yourself as a leader is like, what will I leave behind when I am gone? And then you should be wanting to build your legacy.
I agree. Now, remember, it's a lot of people in the last like 10 years have geared towards entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
And I think it's mostly millennials, you know what I mean, have geared towards entrepreneurship. Now, one thing you need to recognize if you're starting to build a business is that you're going to have to be a leader
Yes.
and you're going to have to be a manager.
I think people don't realize that until they're in it. And then it's like,
Until
oh,
they're in
wait.
it, then it's too late. And while you've been a leader and a manager, you need to be focused on the actual legacy.
Yes.
That's very important to know. What are you going to leave behind when you're gone?
Right.
That's important to know.
Right. And then also let that legacy and that mindset drive you when times get hard. Because
Right.
it's going to get hard. Like, That's just the way it is, in business. But that legacy that you're building, that thing that you want to leave, that imprint that you're going to leave behind on this world, let that drive you and continue to, help you move forward and
Right.
then, pursue your business and not give up. It's
Right.
like you can't leave a legacy if you quit.
It cements your life's work.
Absolutely it does.
There's something that's going to benefit future generations, not just yourself.
Right.
So if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you can't be selfish.
You can't be selfish because it's all about people, right?
It's all about people. Like John Maxwell said, legacies that matter are connected with people. 100 years from now, all that will matter is the people that you connected with in such a way that you added value and meaning to their lives. I believe the greatest legacy a leader can leave is having developed other leaders. If you want to leave a legacy, invest in people and encourage those you develop to pass on everything they learn from you to others who would do the same. Now remember, our goal at Atlas Leadership Academy is to influence worldwide change
Absolutely.
and to promote world-class leadership.
Hmm.
We want to leave a legacy upon our viewers, upon every single person that watches this video and took away one piece of nugget from what we said.
Yes.
To us, that's the big picture.
Yeah.
Take that same information and give it to someone else and pass it on to someone else and pass it on to someone else. And eventually, it's going to start a trickle effect
Absolutely.
and we can start a pandemic of great leadership.
Absolutely. Yes.
You didn't like that word pandemic?
No, nobody likes that word. It's like not pandemic. But yes, maybe an
I love it.
epidemic.
An epidemic. Wait, yeah, epidemic. It's all good. I love it. Hey, I'm human too, okay? I make mistakes.
It's all good.
We don't want a pandemic, we want an epidemic.
Yes.
I love it.
But definitely we want to leave that lasting legacy of growing leaders. And then you grow. You grow and then help somebody else grow.
That's what it's all about.
What a great discussion. So as we wrap up, we discuss leadership versus management, as well as leaving a legacy. If you'd like to know more about our offerings, you'll find us on Facebook and Instagram at Atlas Leadership Academy. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. You can also click the notification bell for updates. Join us next week as we continue to dive more into leadership topics and help you become a better leader. If you'd like to have our show notes, please go to our bio.